I couldn't believe it was August already. There I was, sitting in my garden somewhere in Norway, second or third cup of coffee in hand, wondering the same thing I always seem to wonder this time of year. When did life start moving so fast? I was closing in on 40, and somehow I still felt like I was just starting to grow up. As I contemplated life over much needed drops of caffeine, I found myself thinking about you. Women of the world, had life turned out the way you pictured it? Were you happy? Were you excited about what's to come in your life? Or maybe a little scared? Maybe you just fell in love, or you just fell out of it. Maybe you were learning how to love yourself again. Me, I found myself in what I could only call my healing era. That strange, uncomfortable, yet beautiful time where you're technically not alone, but still feel like you are. I'm sure you can relate. I was recently reminded of something that once made me feel less alone when I visited my parents at their cabin somewhere off the grid. A dusty old box tucked behind years of clutter, and in it, a brown scented envelope with my name on it. A letter from my very first and possibly only pen pal from my teenage years. Her name was Olaug, and she lived far from me, up north in Norway. We were from different worlds, but shared many of the same thoughts, doubts, desires, and questions about love, about life, about being. Just by seeing that envelope again, I could feel it. That old familiar excitement I used to get whenever one of those letters arrived in my mailbox. I kept thinking about it after I got back home. That was more than half a lifetime ago, and yet the feeling stayed with me. There was just something so freeing about writing my inner thoughts and questions to someone like minded, yet far away from my everyday life. It made me think, why did we stop writing like that? I guess life happened, adulthood happened, but I couldn't help but wonder, what if this was the exact time in life when we needed it the most? That letter wasn't the only thing that sparked a desire for connection again. Last night, as part of my healing season, I did what was only natural for a woman in my position, rewatching Sex and the City for the 14th time. I used to daydream about sitting at that lunch table with Carrie, Miranda, Charlotte, and Samantha over Sunday eggs or Saturday cosmopolitans. I just couldn't resist the urge to experience life through someone else's eyes for a moment, like getting a sneak peek into someone else's journal. It was exciting, comforting, hopeful. There they were, these totally different women, meeting each other in the middle of their lives, sharing, supporting, growing together. Nostalgia rushed over me as I realized just how much I missed that show. They just didn't make them like that anymore. And that was the exact moment this crazy idea dawned on me. Could it be that we could make our own version of Carrie's column? But together, all of us, as fellow writers of this modern Carrie Bradshaw space from all over the world, the honest, messy, here and now stories of real women in all ages and life experiences, like a traveling journal across space and time. And that's how I found myself daydreaming again, but with a sense of purpose this time. I pictured myself opening my inbox real time, reading journal submissions from all of these different women, responding to them here in this space. I saw the hundreds of comments from women all over the world, listening, relating, reflecting. We were already spending hours scrolling through each other's lives online, but how often did we truly connect over them, share something real, allow the voices that didn't feel like picking up a camera but still had a story worth listening to? I just knew this idea had to mean something. We needed this. And so I pictured you, a 40 something outside England, divorced and rediscovering who you are. A 20 something in New York, chasing your big dreams. A retired woman sipping your tea in India, learning how to put yourself first. I just knew I needed to hear your stories. As a bonus mom in my late 30s, living with my partner, his two children, our cat, way too much laundry, and several unfinished projects, I always thought my life probably looked a bit quiet and uneventful from the outside. Too quiet to share. But this other part of me also thought, what if that was what we were all craving these days? To find beauty in the ordinary. To remind ourselves that our lives, even at their most ordinary, are full of richness. My inner life is very rich, and I know yours is too. And these days, I am learning to listen to myself again, to make space for me. That's why I left my corporate job last year in search of something more meaningful, a way to do what I do best, support women's self-growth journeys, and lead the way to better feelings. This channel, the Dragonfly Diaries, had been one of the ways I explored that. But something had been missing. And on this particular August morning, I finally realized it was you. The conversation, the connection, your stories next to mine. I couldn't help but smile once I saw it this clearly. We were all dragonflies, ever changing, adapting, starting something over. And these were always meant to be our diaries. So here I am, opening this space for all the different dragonflies out there, inviting you to write, to channel your inner Carries. Whether you're sipping your morning coffee in Sweden or your late night tea in Tokyo, if there's a story inside of you, or just a whispering voice longing to be louder, consider this your sign. You don't have to be a poet. Your life doesn't have to be glamorous. You just have to be real. because I couldn't help but wonder if maybe, just maybe, when women began to share their lives, we would help each other finally feel more at home in our own. With love, a fellow dragonfly.